lymphatic tissue. It's a very important tissue because it's concerned with the immunity or immune response of the body to the invading microorganism. And usually the lymphatic system includes so many organs and aggregation of lymphatic tissues. The main cell in these tissues are the lymphocytes, which are found in two types, or in two categories, B and T cells. And the third type of cells which are found on the second, because B cell and T cell both are lymphocytes, so they got as a first type of cells, and the second type is natural killer cells. The B and T cells morphologically are similar, so in the histological section you cannot differentiate between them. It means this in the light microscopy, but there are certain means that can differentiate between these two types. The lymphatic cells, or the lymphatic system, consists of cells. There may be only cells distributed in the tissues, or they are forming tissues, like, for example, thymus and spleen, organs, spleen and thymus, or tissues, like the palatine tonsil and other types of tonsils. The function of all these types of lymphatic tissue is to monitor the body surfaces. The body surface is not only the external surface. The internal viscera, for example, from the oral cavity to the anus, the blood vessels, the respiratory passages, the urinary passages, all these are regarded as body surfaces. So all these lymphatic organs or cells, or we can call them tissues, are monitoring these surfaces. And they defend when they find, for example, microorganism, whether parasite, virus, bacteria, or any foreign bodies. And as I mentioned, lymphocytes are the definitive cells and effector cells type of the lymphatic cells. In addition to these mentioned organs and tissue, there are lymphatic vessels that carry lymphs. You know, lymph is the interstitial tissue fluid. It means the fluid which accumulates among the cells in any particular tissue, and they will be drained by these lymphatic vessels back to the circulatory system, especially the venous system. And the lymphatic tissues are where the lymphocytes are proliferating or differentiate and mature. For example, we have thymus. Inside the thymus, the lymphocytes, when they are born in the bone marrow and they are migrated to the circulatory system, they go through the thymus and there they will maturate, and hence they are called T lymphocytes. So the T refers to the thymus, while B cells or B lymphocytes, the B refers to the bone marrow. And how they are differentiated or divided in these two categories, it is unknown. The thymus and bone marrow with gut-associated lymphatic tissue, gut, because there are certain lymphatic tissues associated with the wall of the gastrointestinal tract. And the lymphocytes are educated to recognize and destroy the specific antigen. The antigen, as I mentioned, could be parasite, could be virus, could be bacteria. They are learned, trained, well educated to recognize these, the foreign antigen. However, in some certain abnormal conditions, they attack the self-tissues, the self-cells, in case of autoimmune diseases. They can distinguish between the self-molecule and the molecule belongs to the organs or the tissues of the body, and nerve cells, which are the foreign molecule. So the lymphoid organ include lymph nodes. You have heard about lymph nodes. There are about 100 to 200 lymph nodes, maybe more or less than this number I mentioned. And they are distributed in several parts of the body along the lymphatic vessels and sometimes surrounding the, for example, here the para-aortic lymph node, here in the cervical region, in the neck region, also behind and in front of the ear, submental under the mandible, also in the axillary lymph node. All these are or pelvic lymph nodes and other popliteal lymph node in the back of the knee joints. Also in the cubital fossa, which is here, in the vertebral aspect of the elbow joint. All these are lymph nodes. So, beside the lymph node, we have thymus and palatine tonsils. There are other types of tonsils. I will be mentioning it later on with the spleen. These are organs, well-organized organs. And there are aggregation of lymphatic tissues. For example, they are called mucosa-associated lymphoid tissue. They are associated with the mucous membrane of the different parts of our bodies, and they may be found as a small aggregation or population of lymphocytes, or they are forming nodules or follicles. They can be found in the wall of the digestive system. For example, tonsil, the small tonsils. This is not the palatine. I here mentioned the palatine tonsil. Patches found in the ileum and appendix. You know appendix. Respiratory system, reproductive system, and urology system. In the wall of these organs or the systems, there are mucosa-associated lymphoid tissue. They are not forming a particular or special organ like the thymus and lymph node. First of all, we have lymph node. The main function of lymph node is involved in the production of both cellular and humoral immunity. You will be studying this in more detail next year in the immunology or immunity system module. They filtrate all kinds of foreign material, virus, bacteria, tumor cells. When the lymph carries these foreign materials and passes through the lymph node filters all these and start to damaging them. And also it is draining the lymph. For example, the lymph, as I mentioned, it's a fluid. When it accumulates in particular tissue, it will be drained through these lymph nodes. Later on, after it will be filtered, then it will drain or go back to the venous system of the circulatory system. These are the regions where the lymph nodes are found, neck and back of cervical lymph node. We have armpit or axilla, groin. This is the groin region. The portion or where the trunk joins the lower limb. This region called groin, stomach, chest, and this is one lymph node that drains the lymph fluid from the nearby organs. It means they are not specific to a certain region of the body. The surrounding regions will be drained by these lymph nodes. The important things about the lymph node is the histological section, which is the main concept of our subject. It is encapsulated. Encapsulated, it means it is surrounded by a capsule, a connective tissue capsule. That is why when the lymph node gets enlargement or hypertrophy, in case when it's called lymphadenopathy or lymphadenitis, this is it becomes painful. Why? Because it causes stretching of this capsule. أكيد مثلا كان هذا الدم كان يشاو أمجد كان دوشة كان شتي خرخر هستي فيها كي painful. The pain is not a bad sign for any lymph node, enlarged lymph node. It means it is infection or inflammation. But painless enlarged lymph node, no, it is bad, it may be malignant. And it contains lymphocyte, both types. The lymph nodes in general contains both types of the lymphocyte, B cells and T cells. That's why I mentioned in the previous slide, it is concerned with cellular and humoral immunity. Because this is the function of B and T cells. Each one produces specific type of immunity. All lymph passes through at least one node before returning to the venous circulation. يعني هيش lymph node هي lymph كافية نوعا. أبي lymph node زيادة تيبر إنجا filtration كإنجا تيبو قالتونا venous circulation. The structure of lymph node, it is bean shaped or kidney shaped. It has an indentation on one side, concavity. So it has convex surface and concave surface. The convex surface is the site of the entrance of the lymphatic vessels, afferent lymph vessels. Afferent, it means it carries lymphs from the surrounding tissues or organs, and from the hilum, which is the indentation found on the concave surface of the lymph node, the efferent lymphatic vessel leaves the lymph node with veins. So hilum, if I ask you what structure passes or exits or enters through the hilum of the lymph node, you answer the blood vessel enter and vein with the lymphatic efferent, E, not afferent, leaves the hilum. This is the capsule, connective tissue capsule, surrounding the lymph node. Then there is a space immediately lying below the capsule called subcapsular sinus. Sinus, it means space. Usually the sinuses are filled with lymph, which are drained by these lymphatic or carried by these lymphatic afferent vessels. They will be poured here. From here, the lymph goes to the paratrabecular. First, let's see what extends from the capsule. The lymph node is divided incompletely into several lobules by extensions of the capsule, called trabecule or septa. So it is incompletely septated. Here, these spaces are occupied by trabeculae or the septa, which are extending from the capsule. And parallel to these trabeculae, there are extensions of the subcapsular spaces, called paratrabecular sinuses or spaces. So, the lymph node has convex surface where the site of entrance of afferent lymphatic vessel and blood vessel with efferent lymphatic vessel exit from the hilum, from the concave surface. And connective tissue capsules that surround the lymph node send these trabeculae and septa into its interior. It means the lymph node's interior. Generally, each lymph node histologically divided into two parts or two regions, the outer cortex and inner cortex, also called paracortex. So the cortex, roughly we can say the lymph node is divided into cortex and medulla. But cortex is subdivided into outer cortex and inner cortex. The inner cortex is called paracortex. Paracortex. So this is lymph node. This is the whole lymph node is cut longitudinally section. And this is capsule. The space, which is marked white or light, is subcortical. No, this is subcapsular. Subcapsular. please correct this, subcapsular sinus, because it lies beneath the capsule. Subcapsular sinuses. Then we have cortex. This is cortex. And at the middle, there is medulla. The cortex is divided, very ill division. There is ill division between the paracortex and the outer cortex. The outer cortex, this is very important to know. It contains lymphocytes, diffuse lymphocytes. They are distributed. And there are T cells. And a collection of B lymphocytes which are forming what's called lymphoid follicle or nodule. Both are correct. يعني بلاي lymphoid follicle راسه بلاي nodule راسه. شو خوي نودا أو قريت شو كان nodule شو. The follicles can be classified يعني lymphoid follicle nodule can be primary or secondary, depending on the activation of these lymphatic nodules by invading microorganisms. When the lymph carries, for example, certain bacteria or virus, and it is filtered by this lymph node, the B cells at the center of these lymphoid follicles start to or becomes activated and proliferate, forming a pale area called germinal center. Germinal center. Yes. This is one lymphatic nodule. This is another one. If you look, its periphery is dense and the central portion is lighter. This light central portion is called germinal center. So once you examine any lymph node, if you find the follicles with pale center, it means this type of follicle is of secondary type because it contains germinal center. Not necessary to find all the follicles with germinal center. Some have this pale area, so they are called primary lymphatic follicle or nodules. Then we have cortical sinuses, which conduct the lymph from the subcapsular sinuses to medullary sinuses. It means here, this is cortical sinuses, this area, the regions between the follicles. It will carry the lymphs to the medullary sinuses. The space is in the medulla. There are no lymphatic nodules inside the medulla at all. Now, a brief discussion or description, of a primary follicle. They are rounded aggregate of small, dark staining, inactive or native lymphocytes. So there is aggregation of native or small, inactive B lymphocytes with no germinal center. This is the primary. And usually they are located near the capsule, within a network of follicular dendritic cell processes. No germinal cell. Now, what about the secondary follicles? They are arising, they are originally primary follicles, but they develop germinal center, as I mentioned, as they are activated by the antigenic stimulation of the B cells. And these B cells start to produce antibody, immunoglobulin, to attack the invading microorganism. And so this pale germinal center appears inside the primary follicle, then the name is changed into secondary follicle. It's very easy. And the germinal center is surrounded by a zone, two zones of lymphocytes called mantle zone and marginal zone. So this is mantle zone, marginal zone. They are not sharply differentiated from the other parts, but the lighter zone is this germinal center of the secondary follicle. Mantle zone is outer ring of small lymphocytes surrounding the germinal center. It means the circle surrounding the germinal center is formed by small lymphocytes. Surrounding this mantle zone is marginal zone. This is important for the immunity system module. It will be discussed in much more detail. It's not our subject. Just know the secondary follicle contains germinal center, then mantle zone and marginal zone. What is found within the germinal center? Activated B cells. Germinal center contains predominantly B lymphocyte with scattered T lymphocyte, less or few T lymphocytes. Also, besides these, there are other types of immune cells like macrophages, follicular dendritic cells. Here it has a special name called antigen-presenting cell. What is antigen-presenting cell? These cells, when they find a foreign microorganism or foreign antigen, they will bring it to the B cell, introducing this foreign antigen to the B cell to take its role in the defending and production of immunoglobulin or antibody to kill these invading microorganisms. يعني تعرف يعني بيئك antigenك تعرف تابع B cell الله يولد يفرق في شيء. The inner outer cortex. The inner cortex or paracortex contain mainly T lymphocyte, no follicle. Kawata, lymphatic follicle nodule found only in the outer cortex. This is the high power for histological section of lymph node. You see this rounded structure is the lymphatic follicle with germinal center. So this type of follicle is which type? Secondary, yes. And this is mantle zone. This one is supposed to be the marginal zone. Then we have medullary rays or medullary sinuses, which is extension of the paratrabecular or cortical sinuses at the center of the each lymph nodes. This label image shows this is capsule number 1, subcapsular sinus. Then we have lymph node with germinal center, which lymphatic nodule, sorry, so it's a secondary type, and lymphoid nodule, another lymphoid nodule with trabeculae. These are trabeculae, these spaces. It's not shown so clearly, but it's extension of the capsule. The second main part of the lymph node is medulla. The medulla is mainly formed from medullary cords. What are medullary cords? The extension of the paracortical lymphoid tissue. Because in the cortex, the only structure found is not only the lymphatic nodule. There is a lymphoid tissue among them. They are called paracortical lymphoid tissue. This will be extending inside, or it extends and reaching the medulla, forming what's called medullary cords. The medullary cords contains B and T cells. B and T cell type of lymphocyte. And in addition to lymphocytes, plasma cells found within the fluid. Besides these medullary cords, there are medullary sinuses, which are dilated spaces separating these medullary cords from each other. يعني medullary cord كان بين كان يمشي spaces كثير medullary sinuses. It contains what? The filtered lymph. أو لمفاتات الجلوة كفلتريشني كربناو lymphatic nodule كان هان ورديا برو medullary sinuses تقريبا هي تصفية كراوة زوربين تصفية الدين attack all the microorganism takes place within the lymphatic nodule, mainly there. And in addition to the lymph, what's found in the medullary sinus, there are macrophages, plasma cells, and reticular cells. Lymph circulation. This is a lymph node. This is the convex surface where the afferent lymphatic vessel enters. Then we have, this is capsule, subcapsular sinuses, the space. You see there is here the septa or the trabeculae are very evident, which are extending from the capsule. It carries, or it has a continuation with the subcapsular sinuses. And these are the incomplete lobules, which contains the both type of follicles. Maybe all are primary or primary and secondary, and so on. And this is the medulla. It contains, these are medullary cord. The medullary cord is the extension of the paracortical lymphatic tissue. And the white spaces are the medullary sinuses. Then, from the hilum of the lymph node arrives one single efferent lymphatic vessel. Single. But afferents are many. And the artery also enters the lymph node, and veins drains the lymph node back to the venous system of the circulatory system. Lymph enters through multiple afferent lymphatic vessels into the lymph node. Then it passes through a series of sinuses, subcapsular, cortical, medullary, before exiting through the single efferent lymphatic vessel. This is important to know. Yak efferent here, ha, fizana. Yak efferent here. Afferent ka zoren. بۆچی یەکیشە؟ چونکە تازە هەمووی تەسفیە کراوە، فیلتەرێشن کراوە، تریتینگ کراوە، تریتمنت کراوە، بە سافی لمفەکە ئەچێتەوە بەرەو venous system. The complex architecture of these sinuses, ئێستا پرسی باشە هەموو ساینس و پەناوپێچە بۆچیە؟ لێرە جوابەکە وەرێ. The complex architecture of these sinuses slows the flow of the lymph in the lymph node. بۆی lymph node فریاکەوێت، فیلتەرێشن کە activation B cell can and immunoglobulin and antibody دروست كا attack أو فيروسانات كا self antigen و non self antigen ليك جاكاتوا أما إشي زور جمبرا لبرو أم complex architecture اللي لنا lymph node. Both afferent, it's important to know, both afferent and efferent vessels have valve. ما valve لفين شاهية ولا circulatory system كتير قريبة عن راسنا cardiovascular. شيء معناها valve معناها. This valve will prevent the backflow of the lymph and it ensure the or permit one-way flow of lymph to the blood circulation. These are the valves. These two flips or finger-like projections are valves found in all these, even in the efferent, they are found. Okay. Another image shows how the lymph is circulating, entering through the afferent lymphatic vessel. These are valves, cortical lymphatic nodules, and these are blood capillaries, which are joining the artery, entering and veins exit. And this is the single efferent lymphatic vessel that carries the filtered lymph from the lymph node back to the venous circulation. this is the medulla. You see no lymphatic nodules are found within the medulla. The only two important structures are the base Ahmed. بيتن الدول حاضرة كنا بتكسش تعملوا باشا أول ما يطلع زانيك دباني امتحان مشتاق تقرب يلا medullary cord معناه medulla لقى medullary sinuses هل كان continuation تصير the medullary cord is continuation of paracortical lymphatic tissue while medullary sinuses أقل ملاحظة it's continuation of the paratrabecular أشتغل trabecular to space again أولا paratrabecular sinus it is continuing or it is joining the medullary sinuses while هم medullary sinus كان يدرج النواة شيء بدرس ذكر single efferent lymphatic vessel.